2012, I was invited to go to Japan after the tsunami and the earthquake had occurred and wiped out many of their villages, devastating the country. And they were building a national crisis response team. And so to get a lay of the land, we went from town to town, village to village, just listening to their stories and just assessing what they needed. At one of the villages, there was a town that the Salvation Army had been very instrumental in helping them to rebuild up on top of the cliff because their whole village had been pretty much wiped out. And we went to one of the sites, and some of the ladies were sitting around a table, and they were doing some quilts. And so we kind of were talking with them through the translator. And one of the things we asked the translator to ask them is how the crisis response teams coming in to help families in the aftermath of a horrific loss like this, how we could help them the best. So they talked for quite some time, and they came back, and the translator said to us, they would like to have an ice cream machine. And so he said, okay, sounds like a really great idea. And so I went through the whole thing again. You know, we're going to start these crisis response teams, and we really want to come help people to heal from their traumatic experiences that they had. And so explain to them, you know, so he went through and explained to them. And I said, you know, ask him what we could do most that would help them the most to help them to recover. And so he went through the thing with them again, and he said, yep. They said they wanted an ice cream machine. So I was thinking something was lost in translation, and I thought, well, maybe I'm the one who's lost in translation. So I said, so ask them how getting an ice cream machine for them would help them to heal from the trauma. And they talked for a while, and he came back and he said this, and I'll never forget their response. They said, when we have an ice cream machine, we gather together. And when we gather together, we tell our stories. And when we tell our stories, we heal. And it was such an amazing just capture of that moment, is how culturally sometimes we think we have to do something great, or we have to say something smart, or come up with some great emotional and spiritual care plan. But really, I think the really question to us, where do we create communities of care where we can sit together and tell our stories, and we tell our stories that are healed? So those of us who are building these emotional and spiritual care teams, I think it's a really challenge to us is how can we as the Salvation Army create these environments of care and trust so the people can, in their own way and their own culture and their own time, share their own stories and heal from the past.